Hello, 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 and welcome yet again to Marketing, Branding, and Getting the Sale. We are here every week. We're trialing a new time. We're going to go live a bit earlier, so we're going to be doing 8 a.m. See how that works. Please let us know. Would you like us to go live even earlier? Does that work for you better? We want to hear from you, so let us know. Right, before we dive into today's topics of learning from the big brands, we've got some really brilliant stuff that Jess is going to be sharing with us this morning. Let's do some quick intros in case you haven't come across us before. My name is Una Doyle. I'm a business strategist and coach, and I can help any business to unlock 50K in only 50 minutes. DM me if you want a video to show you exactly how I can do that. So over to Stephen for introductions.
Good morning, everybody. My name's Stephen Lerman from Chameleon BDS. We're an outsourced business development service. So if you're looking to get in front of clients but just don't like to, don't want to, or just have a fear of picking up the phone, then please get in touch. We can help you get in touch with those people by making appointments, updating your CRM, and we can also train you how to be a cold caller expert. Thank you.
Fabulous. Thank you, Stephen. And over to Jess.
Amazing. Good morning, everybody. I help businesses build up the customer retention because a retention increase as little as 5% can increase profits way more than 25%. So that's the goal of my project with my clients. I have a 6-step process that I take my clients through to achieve that. So if you're interested in what that first step is, whether it's right for you, whether it's not, then drop me a message and we can discuss that further.
Fabulous. Thank you very much. Well, let's just talk about our topic for today, learning from the big brands. So I got a question for you, Jess. Why should we learn from the big brands?
Why not? If we don't learn from the big brands, we're just making the same mistakes as they are over and over again. And it's learning from anyone as well, isn't it? It's not just learning from big brands. You can learn from anyone and everyone. Hence getting a business coach, hence getting a mentor, hence getting a consultant, someone that's walked them, that path before, and that can inspire you, help you. So just knowing what to look out for with these big global multi-million brands, knowing, the little tricks that they do, maybe the little mistakes that they've had, just being aware of that can help us, scale a lot quicker, scale a lot sooner, even a lot more, reach our maybe 5-year goal in a space of a couple of years because we're learning from what other people have been through. So yeah, it's hugely important and it's so inspiring as well.
Fantastic. So what's been inspiring you? What's the biggest lesson you want to share with us today?
So there's a few, but I do want to lead with one that I've been looking into for a while now, which is something that Special K, so Kellogg's, Special K, Disney and Apple all do. A few more do it as well, but this is something that I cover in the sessions that I have with my clients, which is part of that step 1 that I was just telling you about. And they're a really good case study of how loads of big businesses are doing this. But what they're doing is they're really understanding who their customer is inside out. They're really knowing who they are. They're kind of knowing them better than they know themselves. They're knowing all the subconscious kind of thoughts and habits and behaviors. Once they know all that, they can really pinpoint it to a specific frustration, a specific hurdle that they're going through. And with my clients, we call it the enemy. So what is the enemy of your customers? What's getting in the way on a daily basis? So Special K, Disney and Apple all do this really well. Special K launched a drop a jean size campaign a good few years ago now. And it's not, replace 2 meals with 2 bowls of Special K a day. It's not advised. It wouldn't pass, today.
It's very nutritionally sound.
It's not at all, but they did really well. They changed the marketplace, really. Even using the language that people used, and when they want to lose weight, it's like, oh, I want to get back into my old jeans, and it's the topic of the conversation. So they really understood that and knew that the enemy of their customers were not fitting into the jeans, and who does, it's even when you wash your jeans for the first time, they're a bit tight, aren't they? And you're putting them on, you've got to do a bit of lunges and stretch them. But I do it.
Little wiggle.
But yeah, so they really understood that and they really kind of communicated that and hence changed the way that other brands stepped into that market as well. Disney do something similar in that they really understood their customer, and no matter how old the customer was, no matter where they were going, whether they were going in the stores, whether they were going to the theme parks, whether they were sat at home watching a film, whatever age they were, the whole aspect of that experience was feeling young again, that joy of Disney and the characters. And, so they kind of thought, well,
it's the magic, isn't it? It's that feeling
yes,
magical, some kind of awe and wonder and
exactly.
Yeah.
That's their vision, to see more magic. And the enemy of their customers is growing up, because as we grow up, magic gets, less and less. Well, it doesn't get less exciting, but it gets less talked about and experienced. So they said, well, we'll, when you come to us, when you experience our brand, you'll never have to grow up. And people were like, oh yeah, I'd love to do that. They didn't even know that that was an enemy that they had. So they
Yes.
did that really well. And lastly on this topic is Apple. And they kind of again changed the way that we use technology, and their ethos behind that was making things simple. So they, the enemy of their customers, it was complicated tech, the frustration of using tech. You had to know, you had to be, especially when Mac computers first came out, you had to be a bit of a tech guru to be able to operate them. So they thought, well, we'll tackle into that, and we know that the enemy of our customers is that frustration when they're trying to use technology. So again, they everything and anything. So it's really powerful to know so much about your audience that you can really pin it down to one thing. If something's coming to mind now, then great, but more often than not, you do have to do a lot of research to find what this enemy is. So something that you can start doing is finding relevant data and information. So insights, that are a bit of a window into your customers' lives. So insights as well that go beyond stats and figures and facts. So you can find figures that say, I don't know, say we're talking about a product that helps you quit smoking. You can find endless figures saying, 38% people can quit smoking better with doing X. That's a great bit of data, but it's not an insight. What an insight is seeing a review or seeing a comment of someone going, oh my God, like, so frustrating quitting smoking. I feel I don't feel myself. I'm out of control. I feel, just getting into that mindset of who your customer is. So finding them sort of insights will really help you, do what Special K, Disney and Apple do as well.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think one of the biggest problems that I see with the business owners I talk to is that they do not know their customers well enough. And if they don't know them well enough, they cannot differentiate. It just makes everything harder when they're really able to pinpoint the pains, the gains that they want. What is it that they're actually trying to achieve? Those things. I think too often, I think there's so much out there about, oh, here's a customer avatar template, and so people think, oh, I'll just make this stuff up, and it's like, well, no, actually, you need to, and I think you need to have worked with clients and then really talk to those clients and find out, well, why did they buy from you? What is it that they really wanted? And actually, why didn't people buy from you as well? If you can get that information, it can be invaluable, can't it? Stephen, what's your thoughts?
I was about to say, what about market research? Because sometimes even market research can be skewed because they just take the good and, only a few people said that, so we're not going to really take that on board. But the negative comments are equally as important as the positive, aren't they? Because then you can really get into, you find out the good, the bad, and the ugly, don't you? I remember watching, I'll use it as an example. It's a really poor example, but reality TV, The Apprentice. When they do market research, they get some really damning market research and they completely ignore it. So when they actually go and pitch, it's an epic fail because they've not truly understood what the customer wants. So market research for me, I think, is hugely important.
I think one of the challenges is that it takes time, effort, and sometimes money to do good customer research. And so I think a lot of the times, maybe that kind of creative mind of, many entrepreneurs is, oh, I know this and I'm going to just skip ahead. Though saying that, like it is, I mean, it's been said that, I know he's obviously not with us anymore, RIP, but Steve Jobs' idea of market research was looking in the mirror and going, what do you think? So I think there's also the aspect of, sometimes like you can't ask people about what doesn't exist yet. So I think that can be a challenge for where there's really true innovation. And so I think sometimes that needs to come from the creator, the people who have thought this thing up. That would be interesting to know, kind of as an idea develops, did they then do research and take that into account? But certainly for the average business that isn't creating something that's completely changing the marketplace, that there are customers out there who already buy, whatever it is that they're selling, or buy some kind of an alternative. So I think that those alternatives actually are often not taken into account enough. People have the alternative of not buying, of not doing something. They often have a totally different alternative to, what it is that you're offering as well. So I think those things need to be taken into account as well, don't they?
Yeah, I think really good points, and even with what you said then, and a lot of the time when I'm talking to businesses and they're saying, maybe they've not got enough money for the market research, maybe they've not got enough insights themselves, maybe there's something that's holding them back, and I say, well, look at your competitors' reviews, look at what people are saying about them, and but then a lot of the time there's an emotional hurdle that people have to go through in doing that, because when a lot of business owners that I'm meeting are looking at the competition, it's from an emotional space. They may be getting reactive and feeling quite emotional about it, when we just need to put that emotion and just look at it and go, okay, what are people saying? How can I fill in a gap that maybe people have? And tracking them rejections, Stephen, exactly like you said, again, hugely important. A lot of businesses do a journey of the client. They'll go, well, yeah, I know the journey of my customers. They'll do X, Y, Z, and then they're a customer. But we've got to look into, okay, well, what about the ones that have come off before they're a customer? Why have they come off? Why have they gone somewhere else? So tracking them rejections and not ignoring it. We can get selective hearing from something we don't want to hear, can't we? So it's being conscious of all that. So great points.
Yeah, that's often one of the strategies that I'll do early on with the client as well, depending on, like, do they have them, but reactivating those old clients. And actually that in itself can be provide great insights as to, well, why do people really leave? Because quite often they'll tell you one thing, but was that the real reason? And sometimes I think when you go back then to to try and reactivate them as a client, you find out, well, actually what really happened was this. So yeah. So morning, Chris. He's saying, I thought the answer was fruit. There was a company called Disney Fruit, 11 to 21. I don't remember that. Do you?
I haven't heard of that. No,
never even heard of it.
Tell us a bit more about this. We're not sure what that's all about. So yeah. And yes, Chris, I know you're a regular. We're going to start at 8 a.m. by the way, from now on, in case you didn't notice that in the posts. So great. So I think that's really, really good point. And it's one of those foundational things that quite often people want to skip over. Yet actually, when you do it and invest into getting the foundations right, then you can leverage off those foundations so much more successfully, can't you? Great. What's another example then, Jess?
So another one that I thought I'd get into, because we can really see the impact of the damage that this one has made for the company. So it's Tropicana, the orange juice product.
Yeah.
So we're all familiar with that product, aren't we? A few of us might have even heard that they had a bit of a backlash with the branding. But what actually happened? So these guys have been on the shelves for years and years. They've built that loyal customer base. People now don't even know that they're picking it up when they pick it up in the supermarket, because it's just a habit. They might pick it up because their mum bought it and they've seen it in the fridge growing up, and there's that sentimental value. So that there's a lot of loyalty with the brand. But what they did, a big mistake that they did, was change too much too soon. So they rebranded the whole packaging for the orange juice. They even made the cap a little orange. You know, they had the logo in a different place. You know, everything was completely different, and it didn't look bad at all. It wasn't like this is a disaster of a design, but
Yeah.
They changed it. They changed it all way too quickly all of a sudden. So people kind of got confused. You know, when they went into that habit of picking it up, they were like, "Oh wait, do I want that? Do I not?" You know, they kind of were confused why the rebrand was happening. They didn't communicate with the customers all this that was going on. So the impact for these guys was huge. So they lost 20% of the sales just by changing these visuals, which to them meant $30 million of loss that they had. But even to any business, 20% of sales just instantly lost like that. It's a lot.
It is.
They also wasted. Yeah, go on.
Quick question. The most important thing about Tropicana is the fact that the taste never changed. So the taste was exactly the same, which for me is the most important thing. If something if the taste changes, that's what will deter people from buying it moving forward. So I find that so bizarre that even though the
I wonder
packaging
if
changed.
people think the taste might have changed because there was so much, the branding was so different then.
There was some distrust, wasn't there? Is it the way that I describe it is if the business was a person, you know, and say this is how I describe it. If you know, for any business, if your business is a person and it's in a networking room, someone comes in. I think I've mentioned this before on the live. Someone comes in, you gel with them, you get on really well with them. They go, yeah, I like this person. They might see you again in a different networking group and go, oh, great, you know, Bob's over there. I'll go and say hi. They go over and all of a sudden this person is acting completely differently, he's telling different stories. And you think, oh, wait a minute, who's that? Oh, I'm going to go over here now. I don't quite trust you. And it's the same emotional response when something is changed like that, whether it's the taste or just the visual. So yeah, not only did they lose 20% of the sales, but they wasted $35 million on the marketing, the redesigning of the packaging. You know, behind the scenes, they're thinking, great, this is a great project. This is going to be amazing for the business. And again, not looking outwards. So they also, competition stole the customers. So the 20% that didn't go to them, the competition snapped them up. Right. So then now they've not got any loyal customers anymore. The competitors have got loyal customers. The total loss of this quick redesign without any communication, any thought behind, well, probably there was thought behind it. I don't want to belittle it that much, but they lost $50 million, you know, of money, you know, designing this, redesigning it, trying to get the sales back, losing the sales. So this sort of change is drastic, and it can be the same for any business. So what can we learn from that? What can we do? Well, we need to understand the impact of design. So this is the whole reason why my process was created, and was because people led with design. You know, a lot of business owners felt, I want it to look this way because of this. And there was not really any strategy or purpose behind that. It was just because they thought it looked good. So we need to really understand the importance of good design, and a good designer that knows the subconscious cues that people have. You know, where is the logo? What colors are they? How big is the information? All this stuff is crucial. It's not just because we know what, you know, how to make things look pretty. There's a science behind it in what people kind of see. So having a designer that really understands that, and communicate with your loyal customers, understand why they're loyal. What is it about the brand that they love? You know, obviously a lot of their loyal customers loved the feel and you know, the kind of experience of the brand, and they just took that away from them, changing the packaging. So communicate and really listen. Listening is key as well, isn't it? Listen to your audience. What is it that they're loyal to? Yeah, it's a huge one.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, I just think Stephen's reaction was absolutely classic. Oh, what I love about it is that the taste never changed. So, and that's the kind of thing, if you don't talk to your customers, you might not realize how important that is. I think what's also really interesting to kind of draw out from this is that if a brand can lose 20% because of a redesign done, you know, without taking those things into account, what impact can a rebranding have positively when done right?
Yeah, amazing. It's going to be double, quadruple, you know, it's going to be so much more, isn't it? And even then it's an exciting place to be, because you've got this canvas that you're like, right, okay, let's you know, let's rebuild on this. Let's get that out there again. So it's an exciting place to be if maybe you're ready for a rebrand, or maybe you've not gone through this process before. Yeah. So yeah, good point.
Question for you, Jess. What about making changes, but making subtle changes, so over a lengthier period of time, so that people can get used to it, rather than just dropping it on the mass public, and then there being like a huge backlash, like loss of 20% of sales and 30 million in revenue. I mean, what about that? What is that an option,
I think there's
no?
a balance, because you could be waiting years before launching a new kind of feel and you know, even strategy with your business. If you do that, that's better than just throwing it on someone. But what's even better is communicating it. That communication is key. Involving your customers. You know, this is what we're going through. This is why. Don't worry, we're not changing the taste, but we just want this to be better for you because of this. You know, what's your input? What do you like? You know, communication is key. And once people get their head around, okay, yeah, that, you know, we're just evolving, we're not changing, then, you know, it's so powerful, the emotion behind loyalty. I think even within anything, you never mind just business, marketing, branding, anything, it's so powerful. So yeah, communicating and listening is going to help you do that quicker without drip feeding it over such a long amount of time.
Yeah, absolutely. Great. Okay, we've got time for one more. Who's that going to be then, Jess?
Yeah, let's go down. So let's let's stay on that same theme, because there's another one that I had to share, but I'll share that another time. So Stephen, when you said the taste didn't change, but they still lost them customers, this is an example of a brand that changed the taste. Again, without telling anyone, they just changed it. So Coca-Cola, again, huge brand that we all know and love. A lot of these brands, you might think, God, they never make mistakes. You know, they're huge. They're on top. How, you know, I'll never, you know, match up to be them. And, you know, but all this sort of stuff, it's not true. So yeah, Coca-Cola, what did they do? So they became really reactive to a competitor. So again, when we just spoke about being emotional towards your competition, Coca-Cola were in that exact state. So Pepsi have attacked Coca-Cola for a while now. We were all kind of used to it. Similar to the way that supermarkets kind of do as well, you know, Aldi price match, and there's this kind of rivalry going on. So Pepsi launched the taste test for the first time. I think it was in the 80s. And Coca-Cola sat back, must have seen this advert, must have been running around the offices going, have you seen what Pepsi are doing? And they've watched it and gone, oh my God, people hate our drink. You know, people like Pepsi more than us. We need to do something about it. So they went behind the scenes, changed the recipe, taste test. Yeah, this is it. We've nailed it. This is even better than before. Launched it with all this pride. You know, we've got this better tasting Coca-Cola than you've ever had. And people reacted really bad to it. They hated it. You know, even they started rioting in the streets for it, saying, you know, changed your taste. All due because we've had this loyalty towards Coca-Cola for years. You know, Coca-Cola have been, you know, been helping us through the war even. You know, Coca-Cola have been there and an impact to our society and community and our lives for a long time. So all of a sudden changing the taste, people didn't like it at all. So again, that kind of backlashed on sales. People went somewhere else. So what can we do different to learn from that mistake? So it is very easy to fall into the trap of when a competitor is saying something about you, or you know, saying that they're better than you in a certain way. It's very easy to react to that on an emotional level and do it there and then. But if we had a strategy in place to tell us exactly how to react, when to react, do we react at all? Like, do we just step back like even Aldi do? All the supermarkets say, we'll price match Aldi, you know, and they just step back and go, okay, you do that, but I know that my loyal customers want to stay with us. So having a strategy in place to prevent you losing all that money on reacting to something emotionally and then having to fix it later on down the line, as well as all the customers that you lose. So yeah, a competitive strategy is really easy to do once you've got all your brand elements in place. So if that's something that you want to explore more, then please just drop me a message. But yeah, They've not done it since, I'll tell you that. They brought out the original recipe and were like, we're back, don't worry, we're still here. And over the years, they've changed their culture to build the trust back up with people.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's like you just kind of think people were taking to the streets. But I remember, wasn't there? I don't think it was on the streets. At least I don't think it was. But I do remember there being a campaign around, bringing back salad cream because Hellman's was going to ditch it. Do you remember that?
No, but I need to look into that.
I think it was maybe in the 90s or early 2000s. And apparently they were going to drop salad cream. And so the staunch salad cream kind of anti-mayo people came out in droves and complained. And I remember at the time, because I was working in public relations at the time, so it must have been in the late 90s, early 2000s. And I remember thinking to myself, I wonder was it sparked by a PR person?
You know what? It just goes to show. Sorry, Una, for cutting you off. It just goes to show how important taste is in people's lives. And it becomes the norm. So when something is out of sync, there's like a mass panic. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's habit and loyalty, isn't it? Like the power of that emotion to make people riot in the streets about salad cream, about Coca-Cola, like that emotion. It's so powerful. So, like you were saying before, Una, in flipping that on its head. Imagine having that loyalty on the other aspect of it. Imagine the lens that people are going to go through for your product, your service, your brand, when they've got that emotional loyalty.
Well, there's websites that are set up for various countries around the world to sell the things that they can't get in that country. Like it might be Yorkshire tea bags or do you know what I mean? Those things that they're living in Australia and they can't get X, Y, Z. And that definitely happens. I know when it doesn't, not so much now, but actually, so friend I've got in America, and she loves Cadbury's chocolate, and you can't get it over there. And so whenever we visited, we would chug a whole load of bars in our suitcase and. Yeah, it's I think people do have, I suppose taste is such a strong physical thing, like taste and smell, that they're really connected to our brains and our emotions, aren't they?
Yeah, and our memories as well, which is hugely powerful.
Yeah. So how does, what you've talked about here today, that has all been product-based businesses, how do you think service-based businesses can apply this?
It doesn't work too much different at all. A lot of my clients are service-based B2B, and a lot of the time that stops people from from going deeper into this sort of stuff. Oh, I'm B2B, that doesn't quite work for me, or I'm service-based, it doesn't quite work for me. And it's not true. It all works very much the same. If we break it down to 3 tips that I gave today, any service, any product, B2B, B2C, can take them on board. So really understanding your customers, clients, getting them insights, any business can do. Really getting a good designer that understands subconscious cues and science, behavior and things like that. Again, any it doesn't have to just be packaging. A service-based business could have the website, the flyers, anything designed like that.
Yeah.
And having the competitive strategy. Again, it's not just for products and customers, it can be clients and services as well. So take these tips and use them whatever business you have.
And if you haven't gone and researched your competitors recently, please do that. And as Jess is saying, do it from the point of view of getting insights. You don't want to be structuring your business. There are some business owners that are kind of obsessed with this one competitor and what they're doing. It's like, no, it's not about that. But you do need to understand the landscape. You need to understand, well, what are your clients, what are your customers seeing? How are they being approached? What messages are they receiving from your competitors? And not even just direct competitors, but alternatives. The different ways that they can achieve what it is they're trying to achieve. So I think really getting clear on those things is so important. And then seeing what do customers say. The amount of times I've worked with clients and said, in kind of working on their market dominating position, So, okay, well, go and look at your competitors. You know, what are they saying? Because quite often people are saying things that are too generic, and and it's only when they go, or they think what they're saying is unique, but then they go and realize, oh wow, this is being said by lots and lots of other people. Yeah. I think one of the other things that's really key as well is I had a conversation with somebody recently where they said, oh, I'm in X business. And so there isn't really a great way for, we can't really differentiate ourselves. And I totally disagree. I think any business can differentiate themselves. I mean, if you're selling commodities like, I don't know, iron or copper or something, okay, yeah, commodities by their very nature are based on price. That's what makes them a commodity, is that there is no distinguishing features. But even so, a company can innovate around the service aspects of what they do. So I think that's really, really important as well. Hey Wojtek, afraid you have to hit rewind and watch a replay because we're just wrapping up now. So I think those are great tips that you shared there, Jess. If you're just joining us, I know we're starting a bit earlier from now on, so we'll see how that goes. But please do, hit rewind. It might take a few minutes to kind of just or allow you to do that. We'll go back to the beginning and do that, because I think there's been some great tips shared by Jess and some great, interactions and questions and comments from the rest of us here today. Any final thoughts, Stephen?
No, like you said, Jess, communication is key. And as well, market research and communication, I think, are massive when it comes to, if you're thinking about, rebranding or changing what works, what's successful, just to try and stay in line with the competition or ahead of the competition. Those two things, I think, are huge. Communication is massive, Jess. So yeah, I agree completely.
Definitely. Fabulous. Well, thank you very much, Jess and Stephen. Thank you, everyone who's joined us. If you're watching on the replay, right, hashtag replay. Do please add any questions that you have or comments. We'd love to see those. And do feel free to reach out to Jess, myself, or Stephen. If you feel that what we've shared has been valuable for you today and you'd like to know a bit more. All right, we will be back 8 a.m. next week. We look forward to seeing you then. Bye for now.
Stay cool.
Bye.
Yeah, stay cool. For those who don't know, it's pretty hot here today. Okay, bye.